Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. Today we're going to take a look at one of the newer series dropped on Shonen Jump, Aliens Area. Now, we will have a short spoiler-free section, and then we will get into the spoiler section as usual. I sincerely doubt I'll be doing chapterly reviews on this one, but it looks like the kind of manga that I definitely will go through and binge 10 chapters every now and then. So, Aliens Area. It looks like it's going to be a hard sci-fi series. The basic premise is pretty common. You have the young adult protagonist who gets hired by an organization to perform a civil service type job. So in that way it's running very similar to Kaiju number 8 and Doron Dororon. The protagonist is at the edge of maturity, so we were looking at 18 or 19-year-old, not a third-year high schooler. So you've got a not as young as most Shonen Jump characters, but still technically in high school. Now we've got your typical tragic backstory, certain responsibilities that he has to fulfill. You have the call to action, some weird stuff that crops up from his background, refuses the call to action, gets caught up in the adventure anyway. So, this is all a fairly standard shonen tropes. The artwork is a little bit darker than I like, a little bit too much toner, a little too many lines, a little too complicated, but that is just my personal preference. The visuals are just the wrong side of gruesome for my levels, but again, I have a pretty low tolerance for that, and hey, I really like Kaiju number 8, so my concept of gruesome may not be normal, but anyway. So, Aliens Area. I don't think it's any spoilers to say that it involves aliens. The alien designs, at least the ones we've seen so far, are personally, I find them very disturbing, because rather than being obviously aliens, they're, well, that would probably be too much of a spoiler for this section. So, protagonist gets hired by a civil service to do something fantastic. Again, fairly common set of shonen tropes. So I enjoyed it. I liked it. I'm definitely going to continue reading it, but probably not going to do a review every chapter. But I do think it's a very solid, well-written manga. Again, all shonen manga follows the same narrow subset of tropes. The question is, how well are they done? And personally, I think this one's really well done. It's just not exactly my cup. I just don't think I'll be able to do reading 2 or 3 videos out of every chapter like I can do with Kaiju number 8. So, that was the spoiler-free section. Let's get into spoilers. Alright, we have our main protagonist. Click back to the main first page. Tatsumi. I wonder if that's a play on words. I don't know. Anyway, third year in high schooler. He's got a nice face scar to show that he's led a dangerous life. He's got a funny bike that looks too small for him. Lives in a poor part of town. Works jobs. And he seems to have a good relationship with his employers. As I said, all common shonen tropes. So, we've got, alright, and I've already forgotten how to pronounce his name, Tatsumi. So, we've got our main character, Tatsumi. He is a responsible, hardworking kind of guy who's had a rough life. And when we get home, we find out that he is the primary caregiver to his 2 siblings. And we get some good world building. It builds up. His parents are dead. He's got one younger sibling who's just old enough to be starting school. One younger sibling who still needs to be taken care of at home, and he's trying his best to take care of him. And to do that, he has to pull multiple jobs because they don't have any savings or money to get by with. Now, during the course of this job, we find out that he has one of those mysterious something about his body. There's a mystery about his body. Heals too fast, is super strong. Things that, again, fairly standard manga tropes. I could just go through the whole first 2 chapters like that, doing the same thing, describing things and saying just standard manga tropes. But again, this manga, everything is well put together. It is a very good meal made from solid ingredients. And to summarize, it is the Japanese version of Men in Black. I really can't say anything else about it. It's not manga flavored Men in Black. It's Men in Black deconstructed to its base components, and then those base components recooked with a complete Japanese meal. It's like you take the flour, the vegetables, the meat. Men in Black was a Western meal. Alien Area is a Japanese meal. You gave an American chef and a Japanese chef the exact same ingredients and said, make me something good. And they both did their best, and this is what you get. So, it turns out aliens have been visiting Earth and experimenting on various humans. This Tatsumi was one of the guys who was experimented on, apparently had his mind wiped because he doesn't remember it. And now he basically has one superpowered arm. A superpowered arm allows him to fight off the aliens who break into his house to steal whatever was implanted in his arm. So he fights off the aliens before being rescued by the police officer, the civil servant who decides to recruit him. Now this is unusual. Someone with these implants has never been recruited before, but no one with an implant was ever able to fight off the aliens on their own. So you have the police officer who recruits him. You have a human who's been given basically an alien superpower in one limb, and you have a job offer, which now it's stated very simply, and in here, the job is to work with the alien police force in preserving coexistence between aliens and Earthlings. So, again, Men in Black. There's a Black Ops group whose job it is to make sure that the aliens on Earth live peacefully there. So they'll be capturing some aliens, helping other aliens, probably pulling alien kittens out of trees. The aliens in this world are not common knowledge, so it's, again, Men in Black, Secret Aliens. This looks like a manga that I will enjoy reading, but it's not going to be one of my favorites. Now, I do want to explain that before I go. One of the things that I really, really appreciate about a manga is even within the fantastic context that they're writing in, remaining grounded in reality. And one of the biggest problem whenever a population comes out of nowhere and interacts with another population is disease. And I've yet to see one of these one of these Men in Black type shows react to the fact that if a new set of beings comes into a previously closed ecosystem, they bring parasites and pathogens that cause disease. And this has devastating effects and is one of the main reasons that people are wary of strangers. And it's like hardwired, genetically coded in us to be wary of strangers, especially if they're types that we've never seen before, because the strangers bring in pathogens that we don't have an immune response to. So, I've yet to see one of these alien series that addressed that. Now, why is this important? These series always end up getting philosophical about the natives who are paranoid about the newcomers. And unless you are willing to address the fact that a new species brings in new diseases, you're never going to be able to fully explain and understand from a storytelling perspective why is there all this paranoia. For instance, it's estimated that somewhere between 50 and 90% of the populations of certain islands would go extinct when meeting sailors from the Asian or European explorers for the first time. We have no idea how many times this happened because the records just aren't that good, but if you have an isolated population of humans on an island and they've been isolated for generations, their immune systems never get a chance to deal with any new diseases. And the first time a boat lands bringing in new diseases, you have pandemics that just utterly wipe out this population. And it happens every time. And that's why populations, especially isolated populations, are basically genetically hardwired to be deeply suspicious of any newcomers. And if a series is unwilling to address that reality, the philosophical element of the series, why are we afraid of these outsiders, always ends up falling flat, in my opinion. And that's where you get the NARM, that's where you get the childishness of the series, not facing that reality that, in many cases, the outsiders are in fact a threat. So, but who knows, maybe that's why I often have issues with these two populations interacting kind of setups. But anyway, otherwise it's a really solid manga. I don't know how they're going to handle that. Maybe they'll do what most storytellers do and just ignore that. Maybe they'll continue with, maybe they'll actually address it. Who knows? But Alien Area, Men in Black ingredients under a Japanese chef, and I look forward to reading more. But we're probably not going to end up getting more than the occasional video out of it. So what do you think of the first 2 chapters of Alien Area? Leave a comment below telling me what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Humans are weird. We took a vote, and humans are weird. I have the data. 2 books in a series of human absurdity. Go check out these short story collections. What will our little green friends think of us when we finally do make it to space? Find out the answer in 2 books of human absurdity. Humans are weird, we took a vote, and Humans are weird, I have the data. Available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Google Play.